Well, as we approach the end of the January transfer window, the inevitable has happened with Southend United. We have dropped into the Premier League relegation zone. We're in 18th place with less than a point a game. We've got a big one tonight, though, at home to bottom half Wolves, and then it's deadline day. Can we add any magic? With two players in the club already, we might need a little bit more. Yes, hello, and welcome along to part 52 of this FM24 story, Saving Southend, with me, Daniel. We are back today for deadline day in January. We've already got two additions in this month. We've got a few key players on their way back from injury. We've also had a couple of big injuries since you were last here that have contributed to our drop into the relegation zone. So if you're looking forward to seeing how we get on against Wolves in a massive home game before deadline day itself, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. For now though, we're going to have a quick look at injuries, what's been happening off the pitch, and a few big signings and a schedule review as well. So let's start with the transfers and the medical centre, because what's happened here has sort of shaped what we've done in the window. The frustrating thing is that we hadn't been able to find a replacement for Hugill, who is still annoyed that we didn't accept the bid last January, but he is almost back now, and he has been the one man who's consistently scored in the Premier League this season. So I'm hoping if we've got a chance of survival, he's going to be the man that leads it. And then if he leaves for free instead of 6 to 10 million quid, do you know what? It's worth it for an extra year in this division, isn't it? The big news, though, in addition to Jaden Danns picking up one last weekend, is Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who, a week or two after you were last with me, picked up a hip injury as well and picked up 2 to 3 months out. He's now going to decline basically beyond repair. The good news is he's only on the contract till the end of this year, and he may contribute off the bench when he's back. But with his absence, with Russell Denny out regularly, with Morehouse struggling a bit, we've had to address that area and bring in one more player. But of course, we're not going to get an England international at that end of their career again. Don't get overexcited. I've not gone and spent 10, 15 million on a player. I've not broken the transfer record, which we spent on Adeniji, the £4 million signing in the summer. But what we have done is added a couple that I feel will benefit us in the long term and in the short term. They're players who fit that mould of good championship level, some with room for improvement, some in positions we needed strength in depth. And again, the plan is here, if we don't stay up this season, which we'll give a good go, we make sure that we're in a great position to return next season. So let's have a look at the transfer history, because firstly, we have got a player out this month, which is Josh Brookin. Again, was out injured for quite a lot of the first half, but a great offer came in from QPR. Loan offer, which guarantees us 650 grand, also covers all of his wages as well. And then you look at the summer and they've got an option to buy him for what would be, I think, 13 million. Yeah, 5 of it up front and 8.5 added on. It's a real opportunity for us here. So I really feel that this is going to be a good one for us if we let him go. But even if not, we've picked up nearly £1 million for half a year. Carrington's a good replacement there anyway. And he wasn't going to be first choice ahead of Adeniji. So kind of made sense to me. The two that have come in, though, are the ones we're going to focus on. Both in a similar ballpark of 1.5 to 2 million quid. One of them an original channel legend. One of them a young player for the future. Now, Reece Williams is the first one. A lot of you talking to me about needing an extra centre-half. We did get to a position in the last episode where the likes of Dan Cox had to play. And we've not got a great deal of strength in depth there. We've got Humphreys, we've got Parker, we've got Kwanzaa. And that's really about it at the top level. So to have a little bit more, which gives us the flexibility for a back three, particularly with a lot of the tougher away games still to come, it just made sense. He's now 28. You'll remember him a few times on this channel. He was a star in the Bristol City save last year. He was also a star in our original one club story back in FM19 with Torquay United. That one, he was one of our first ever big sales. And here, I'm hoping he'll be a bit of a gem. He's just a solid central defender. Was transfer listed at West Ham where he barely featured, but has played for Liverpool, for Middlesbrough and in the MLS. And I think he's going to be good. He's got that big aerial threat like a Jarell Kwanzaa. And he's a good player. Again, if we go down to the Championship, there's no doubt that he's going to be ready to be very good. So, very happy with that addition, as I am with the addition of Alfie Harrison. 1.7 million from Fulham A 24-year-old centre midfielder, very much in the Loftus-Cheek mould, got good stamina, great vision and a good passing range. Again, very solid championship level, played for Blackpool, West Brom, Fulham, been at Queen's Park, come through the City Academy. And if we look at him again on the higher end of the wage bill, which everyone's going to be now, he's still got a bit of potential to grow into. He's a very good central midfielder and he can push further forward late in games if we need a goal too. So for the price range we're looking in and for the wage structure we've got, players like that who are championship level with the potential to reach Premier League quality and make a profit for the club, they're the type of players we've got to look for. So really happy to add those two. But overall, it's not quite enough. I know we've been missing our top scorer, a starting centre midfielder. We've been without 3 or 4 or 5 players at different points. And where we've been playing 2 games a week in January and December, it's definitely cost us. Because for the first time this season, we've taken a few pastings, as well as struggling to compete against bottom half teams. So you were with me for the City and Leeds game. That City point was remarkable. But of course, we struggled after that Arsenal defeat. Aaron Presley did score again against Leeds, but from 1-0 up, we managed to throw it away. Unfortunately, an injury for Tanani there did not help matters. And Dan Rose, who's been so good for us, made a mistake in the second half. Against Sheffield United at home, though, a pivotal point. Joel Linton had put the visitors ahead from a Jeremy Doku cross to show you what we're competing against there. But Tyler Goodrum in the 95th minute, in for Tanani, and has actually been very good in that position. He popped up with a late goal and it was pivotal to keep us out the relegation zone at the time. Against Newcastle away on Boxing Day, another late equaliser, this time Diogo Fernandez. A really hard fought point, a good defensive effort, and a few of the substitutes, the likes of Morehouse and Anselm, making a real difference in that one. Then the big one, because we went back to our full first 11 against Brentford. Really big game against what at the time were 18th place, now 17th. And we beat them 3-0. If we hadn't won this game, we'd probably be marooned at this point. But Morehouse, Goodrum and Santos all scored, and Dan Rose in goal was magnificent. So a great performance there. We then had to rotate a bit against Villa, tired legs, a 5-0 defeat and a Morehouse red card. Just a disaster all round. However, in the cup against Forest, the backup team did a brilliant job. They obviously rested everyone to focus on the league. We did similar, but we had fresher legs in there. Presley got 2, Dan Cox got 2. Former Derby youth player obviously upped his game for that one. And a few superstar performances in there. Lejnik covering at right back, Anselm on the left of midfield, both doing really well in that match. And late on, when we got that 4 through Dan Cox, I got to bring on 3 youth players in stoppage time. They made their debuts for the club. Against Brighton, we lost 3-0 at home. Probably one of our worst performances of the year. But for context, they've still got Ferguson. They've now signed half of West Ham with Bowen and Alvarez and Conor Gallagher in there too. Against Southampton away, probably the most disappointing one. If we'd got a point there, we would have been in decent nick. But a 1-0 defeat not only meant we succumbed to the relegation zone, but also just lifted the points difference because they were that 5th team in the battle at the time. I'll show you the table in a minute. It has had an effect. Against Wigan in the FA Cup, a bizarre game. We were 2 down at the break. We gave them a kick up the backside. Presley and Tanani both came on as we brought on the cavalry basically here. We also brought on Carrington because Lesnick had been awful. Thankfully, Presley turned up with a hat-trick. Tanani got one as well. And then we brought on Fernandez at 2-2 because of the Dan's injury. And thankfully, he got a couple as well. So a 6-3 victory in the end. But boy, we made hard work of it. And defensively, the last couple of months, we've looked a mess. So that is a bit of a concern. For now, though, we focus on a huge game against Wolverhampton Wanderers. A real crucial one in the battle for survival. You can see that win for Southampton last time took them from 18 to 21 points. If we'd drawn that, the gap would have been 1 today. Wolves 10 away, we're not going to catch them. But a win in this one, with a game in hand against Brentford, would put us out of the relegation zone. So can we pull off the unthinkable? Can we back up the big cup performance, certainly in front of goal? Well, let's go and find out. There's going to be a few changes to the team today. This is what we've gone for. Harrison drops out after making his first start. Goodrum struggling physically a bit as well. But the 2 star strikers who got the goals in the cup game are the men up front today. We've not quite got Hugill back. Williams is struggling after playing at the weekend. Russell Denny not quite back yet either. And we know Loftus-Cheek still out. So this is the 11 in full. We've got Dan Rose in goal. Ishmael is at left back with Adeniji on the right. Parker and Kwanzaa, the 2 in the middle. Sam Ammo and hopefully a returning to form Tanani are the two wingers, with PJ Smith alongside Santos in the middle. Then up front, it's Aaron Presley and Diogo Fernandez. And boy, today, do I need those two boys. Let's see if they can deliver under the lights at Steve Tilson Park, soon to be expanded. But for now, a big atmosphere is what we need. They've made plenty of changes from their cup tie as well. They've got a good side. We're going to tell the lads we're sick and tired of poor results. We're not really getting a reaction from them at the moment, which is definitely a concern for me. As we go into the first half, I'll hope we find something, because the only two we've won in our last 5 are cup games against lower league opposition or a heavily rotated Forest side that was knackered. With 10 minutes gone here, it's been a quiet start so far, but this game is absolutely huge. And with 17 on the clock, we've got our first highlight with us down the right. Santos finding Fernandez, wide to Tanani. Back to full fitness, find Santos across the box. And when your luck's out and when you're not playing well, you need a moment of magic from the opposition. A mistake from Minte who deflects a poor cross into his own goal. And after a couple of yellow cards and a nervy start without the ball, we go 1-0 up at home to Wolves, despite the fact we have not had a shot in this game in the first half an hour. It is remarkable, this game, isn't it? As Ellison finds Alex Valley on the right. Our right-hand side, that is. Decore back to Valley again. Cuts inside with far too much space. Dan Rose makes the save. But again, we've not quite got that pressing vigour that we've had in previous seasons, or even at the start of this. The confidence is definitely low for a lot of these boys. We've been done by the edge of the box corner, which infuriates me. Dan Rose saves the day. Can we get out and get a comfortable win? The big thing against Brentford was we got the second goal. And that is always the pivotal moment in these games. As Ishmael breaks away down the left to Sam Ammo, he finds PJ Smith, who is another developing really well. I feel almost if we did go down and come back up, we'd have a great side in 2 years, because a lot of these will get better. As Tanani breaks down the right, chance to cross. We're not worrying about that for now. We want to stay up this time, and Presley forces a good save from the keeper. He's done really well in the absence of Hugill. I can't lie and say he's done as well, but he's doing well regardless. As it's out to PJ Smith on the left, the corner was cleared, and he gives the ball away, but Ishmael wins it back. Can we get another chance? Doesn't look like it. We do manage our first shot of the match though with Presley there, and that's despite the fact we were already ahead. It's been a nothing game, we've given up a lot of possession, but at the moment we lead 1-0, and I'll take an ugly 1-0 win. But we are defending here as Tanani works back, brilliant play. Finds Andre Santos. It's been another key factor with Loftus-Cheek out as well. We've had to play him in the box-to-box role more often. Morehouse has been missing too. He's not quite as effective there as Adeniji finds Smith. Out to Tanani on the right. And he goes back to Kwanzaa. Composed football. Waiting for the opening, not just trying to boot it. Sure, we will now, I've said that. Kwanzaa carries it forward. In midfield is Santos. Out wide to Tanani. Back to Adeniji. Tanani again. Aaron Presley in possession. What's he doing out there? Chance to cross though. Fernandez in. That's what he's doing. The big target man turns provider. Surges down the right wing. Puts in a brilliant low cross for Diogo Fernandez. And now it's 2-0. It's a proper smash and grab. We've done nothing to be ahead in this game. But 2 crosses have led to 2 goals. And now we've got to cling on. We're 5 gone in the second half and we're back with a Wolves throw-in, and we know this is going to go one of 2 ways. I think the big difference we're seeing from the last seasons is where we had a more competitive side at the level. When teams were going aggressive against us, we could counter them and take chances, whereas here it's a little bit more difficult. Their goalkeepers and defenders can save them, and we can't cope with the onslaught so well. As Gray switches to play here, Ellison keeps it in, Adeniji's got drawn to the ball. Not ideal. I can see where this is going. It's a long highlight of Wolves' possession, and you feel it's going to lead to the inevitable. As Lamptey on the right looks over the top. Minte beats his man. Chance to cross here. It's back to Gray. Shots just over the bar. Dan Rose was beaten if that was on target. For now, it remains 2-0. We have not deserved to score 2 in this game, but I will take a win by any means. We have got to pick one up here to have any chance of survival. Southampton drawing with Bristol City, probably not a bad result for us. We're 20 to go. Do I have to look at some of those on the yellow card? Some that are tired. We've got another game at the weekend as Adeniji gets down the right, gives it away. Shackleton clears to McTominay. I mean, they've got quality like that on the bench. Long ball forward to Palmer. He gets it in behind to Valley. Chance to shoot, or does he go wide into Kaladzic? And he's put it wide. It's a corner kick. Apparently they've changed to 5-2-1-2. And that will allow Kaladzic to get up with a little man. If he wins flick-ons, we could be in trouble. Parker heads away as far as Koleosho. Could have done with Williams being fit here. Koleosho's in again though. That one's wide. I'm going to make changes now. We're going to go for Morehouse for the booked PJ Smith, with Santos switching to the playmaker. Tanani off for Goodrum, who's done really well recently. The fullbacks, I'm going to take Ishmael off for Stephen Parks, extra height and defensive nous. Presley is knackered up there. He's going to come off for Perkins, who is literally the only other option. And then we're going to wait a few more minutes. I'm going to trust Adeniji because he's better defensively. But Lesnick's there if we need to. Santos is struggling as well. Do we maybe get Alfie Harrison on for a few? I don't want to miss Santos at the weekend. So that's what we're going to go for. We're somehow 2-0 up, despite the fact we've been second best in this game. But if we can FM a couple of teams and survive by the skin of our teeth, I'll take it. Oh, Shackleton forward to Kaladzic. He's currently skipper. And he's inspired as well. He scored a big goal. This is a very pivotal stage for us now. 2-1 at Southend United. How many minutes are added? We're going to get 5 more. And you know what? You're going to have to forgive me. If we're going to win a game this season, we've got to do it the ugly way. Defensive fullbacks, supporting wingers, Morehouse, deep line playmaker on support. I might even drop Perkins in a little bit as well. Put him as a number 10. He can be an attacking midfielder on support and Fernandez on his own up front. We're going to slow the pace down and time waste whenever possible. Play for set pieces a little bit. We'll run at the defence still. We want to counter with a threat. We're going to slow the pace down. We're actually going to whip in low crosses because I don't want to try and put the ball into Fernandez that way. And we're also going to drop off more and make sure we're as defensive as possible. Will it be enough with 5 minutes of stoppage time added on? Can we hold on for a crucial 3 points? Can we get a third to breathe a sigh of relief? As Parks plays a 1-2 with Sam Ammo, ignores the instruction and plays a floated cross, which Fernandez will never get near. And now Wolves hoof it downfield, but Kwanzaa deals with it well. Perkins drops in to find Harrison. Out to the left to Parks. If I could find a good number 10, I would consider this tactic regularly. As Sam Ammo in. Again, it's a high ball. Why? Out to Morehouse. He loves a special goal. I think that one took a nick in fairness, but I don't care. Southend 3, Wolves 1. We've barely had a chance in this game. 3 shots on target, 2 of them have gone in. And an own goal gives us a 3-1 win. Boy, we didn't deserve that. But you need those lucky days sometimes. Wolves are doing us a favour as they're having so many saves this year. And thankfully, we pick up 3 big points. And I think with it, let me just confirm, move out of the relegation zone. Yes, we do. We're back in 17th with everyone having played 22. I'm looking at the totals of Bristol City and Coventry. It's 3 from 4, isn't it? Southampton, Leeds, us and Brentford. And it's very much playing out like real life this season. Luton came up as the biggest underdogs with Burnley and Sheffield United. And they're the ones that are competing, albeit all 3 are really struggling. So let's go and get through to deadline day, see if we can add any more quality. There might be one addition if we can find the right man. But also, will there be any offers for our stars? We'll be back in a moment to find out. Well, deadline day has arrived, but I've already been busy over the last couple as I look to add that crucial bit of extra firepower both for this season and the future, particularly if Joe Hugill doesn't stay at the end of his contract. For now though, we've got to worry about the last 15 hours. Let's see the players that are being linked on deadline day. Rory, the director of football, has already made a bid for. He's not really better than what we've got. He wants 4 times the money and 12 million, which is 3 times our record transfer. So that's not happening. We're sticking to our model whether we like it or not. We have got links with Dan Cox going out, which can happen now because, of course, we've signed Reece Williams. We're stronger at the back. If he wants to go on a loan deal elsewhere, I'm more than happy with that, to be honest. He served his purpose for us so far. Let me show you the player, though, that we are heavily linked with, because Divin Mabama is a man that I've made a bid for. You'll probably know the name at the minute. He's currently coming through the ranks at West Ham and is making a few sub-appearances in real life. But he is the sort of striker I'd quite like to have here. Partly because he's a left footer and it will give us natural balance in the future. But also, he's one of those who can play both as a target man and as an advanced forward. He's got pace to burn. He's 6 foot. He's got a great jumping reach. He's composed in front of goal, good finishing and heading ability, and technically pretty sound, to be fair. So as a player who's not really getting much game time in the Championship, I feel like he's someone who can add to our squad and be beneficial in the future. And if we do go down and lose Joe Hugill, it will be a natural replacement like for like. Presley was a bit worried he was going to get replaced, but this guy, I feel, is too good to turn down. And then maybe we'll earn out Perkins if we get him. There are a few youngsters being linked with moves away as well. I don't need to tell you we're not going to sign the 10 to 15 million players. But Colin Driscoll, who's out on loan, is being linked with a transfer. If we get that, I'll happily take the fee. But let's go and take part in the final 15 hours of deadline day and see if there's any additions, whether we get Mabama, and as a result, who might move out of the club. Well, if we are likely to see outs today, it's probably going to be in this manner. There are 4 or 5 players in the squad who, if we go back down to the Championship, will be very useful for our squad next season. But we haven't got a role for them to play now, and it's important they get football. So Reece Russell-Denny is one of those. Even with Loftus-Cheek out, we've already got 4 players in the club. We've also got a couple of others that can cover their okay. So when we've got a chance for him to go and get regular football in League One, save Notts County, a big club as well, and they're covering most of his wages. For me, that's too good to turn down. We've got a couple for Daniel Cox as well, with differing fees being paid. MK Dons is the biggest one. If they'll pay 80%, I'm happy with that. They are happy to do so. So what we'll do, we'll reject Kilmarnock because they're not offering first team football. And then we'll ask our bro for the same. We're going to say 80% of the wages or he's off to MK Dons. Let's see what they say. 70%. That's all right for me. Our bro, you can be accepted too. But what about Sedju, who we've got a loan offer for from our director of football? He's a West Ham centre-half. What is the wage contribution? And is that overall fee optional or a requirement? Because that's quite important. He's 6'3". He looks all right. And his wages aren't huge, so we could afford them. But I want to know what the details of that offer are. So we'll wait and come back and see the outcome. And maybe we'll have another bonus director of football signing. Well, I think we've found a problem with Sedju because the future fee after 15 matches is a guaranteed 32 million, which is utterly ridiculous. I'm happy to pay the optional fee because we'll never pay the option, but I don't know that he's going to be joining us for this anyway. We'll see what they say. Optional fee of 37.5. I'll consider it. But more importantly, I've got my man, and it's another former West Ham player. Divin Mabama, a 25-year-old striker. I feel he's got a little bit more in him, and he really fits our style of play. So to get him in with a good personality is a really important one the rest of the season. He's a really good player, but I'm going to train him as a target man just to get him more used to the secondary role. We'll ask Santos to welcome him. We'll register him for the squad. How many will that give us? 23. We're in pretty good nick. We've still got room if we need one more, but that is the one I wanted today. I wanted to get a bit of quality through the core of the team. And in this window now, we've got a centre-half, a centre midfielder, and a centre-forward. I'm happy with that. Well, after dealing with the in, we've also got to clear up some wages as well. Dan Cox has picked our broth over MK Dons. Good decision, young man. He goes there to play in Scottish football. And Reece Russell-Denny is off to Notts County to make sure they're surviving in League One. Both of those will feature off the bench next season if we do go down, though. And looking at the rest of the squad, it's just whether we can get Sonny Perkins out now. I won't be devastated if he's available on the bench, but he is the only player unhappy at the club. And I just feel like the opportunity to get him out and get the equilibrium back, I think would be a good one. For now though, 9 hours remaining, and if nothing else happens, I've done what we really wanted. Well, it's a big moment this, because we've had a deal agreed for Sedju, but the scout report hasn't come any further. He's got big potential for the future, but not a lot at the minute. And he's actually rated as the second best fullback behind Cameron Ishmael. We've got 3 left backs, all of whom are fairly young and of a similar quality to him. Do I want to hold back their development for someone who's not rated that well? Albeit a Kosovo international. I'm looking at the attributes here. Not great in the air despite his height. Not that strong despite his height and weight. And crucially, a really poor composure, which I hate in a defender. So I'm actually going to turn this one down, I think. We're going to reject Sedju. The demands for the optional future fee are silly anyway. I'm going to leave it at that. Well, potentially one more gamble from me and maybe one from the director of football too. I was looking for our scouted reports and through the transfer rumours and this guy popped up. Luis Henrique, a winger at Brentford. We don't know everything about him, but we know a bit. Can play off both wings. He looks like he's got great crossing ability, good pace, good passing of the ball and dribbling. Might be lacking at all the other stuff, but I just feel like for 17 grand a week on loan for 4 or 5 months, it might be worth a gamble. So I've put in a bid to loan him to the end of the season. There are other offers which may make it difficult, but might be my last sign-in. There is an offer though for Nick Marin, a 20-year-old striker from Bayern, and I want to know what the director of football's gone for because it's a loan offer with a future fee. He doesn't look great up front though, and it's all good finding good loan players for the future, but they've got to be superstars to get in this team, and he's just not. I mean, even his scout report's pretty average, so we're not going to worry about the Marin one, and it doesn't matter anyway because it had an obligation to buy and he has no interest in joining. We've also been linked with players elsewhere across the world, but for now, with 5 hours to go, I might have found one more signing to come in temporarily to help us. Well, here we go then, the final moments of deadline day, and Luis Henrique has agreed to join on loan. You can see it, no fees or obligations, just 50% of the wages for 5 months. And you know what? I don't know truly how good he is, but he's a B- scout report. He's got the key attributes by the looks of it. Whether he can play wide naturally in a midfield four, I don't know. But he just looks like he might have a bit of magic and something that can help us out. And at this point, I would call this a calculated panic buy on deadline day. One, because we're not buying anything. And two, because we're not committing much to it. So if it goes wrong, it's cost us 100 grand over 5 months. Let's get him in and see how good our final signing is. And I think I might have pulled off a blinder. Luis Henrique, 3.5 star ability, 3.5 star potential. I don't need potential, frankly. Welcome by your Brazilian mate. Squad registration, in you come. Have we just found a man who might save us? Because he's rated one of the best at the club. Tanani's been in poor form. Sam Amo's been average. Oh, this could be huge. Please be good. Luis Henrique, oh, you are good. That is one hell of a deal. And the most important thing is accomplished left midfield as well. So we have got genuine quality out there. For a 6-month period, it's worth the gamble. And it's worth every penny of the 17 grand a week. If he can even win us 1 or 2 games, if he provides an assist for a match winner, it could be the bit that keeps us up. And a bit like Santos, a bit like Loftus-Cheek earlier this year, I'm looking at him and thinking, oh, you've actually got Premier League quality. And that is something we haven't got in abundance. So delighted to bring him in. And with 2 hours to go, I think that's going to be it. What a finish to deadline day. 2 players in and a couple out on loan. We've definitely improved the squad. Well, transfer deadline day is over with a couple of big moments produced. And I think in terms of our final temporary talent, a solution for the here and now. Our wage expenditure, as you would imagine, is the lowest by a country mile, but it is up on what it was in the last window. But most importantly, we've brought in 4 players, all of whom improve the squad. All of them fit within our wage structure and our transfer model. We've spent approximately £5 million on 3 permanent additions and got a little gem on loan from Brentford. We've loaned out the likes of Cox Brooking and Russell Denny for football, and overall, there is no denying that this squad is in a stronger position. And again, we're going to fight to stay up, and I think it's going to be very close. But if we don't make it, we've got a stronger squad for next season as well. Mabama comes in for 1.3 from Preston, Harrison for 1.7 from Fulham, Reece Williams 1.6 from West Ham, and Henrique, the key man, on loan from Brentford. Let's have a look at the schedule though and see what's coming up, because you feel it's going to boil down to a couple of away games coming up against Bristol City and Coventry. Coventry beat us last time, whereas we beat Bristol City 7-1, and both of those are struggling at the bottom of the table. But of course, the games we've got to worry about the most are the ones against the teams in and around our area. So Forest are in 14th, Leicester in 10th. They're going to be the crucial games. And if you look at the finish to the season, we've got the likes of Leeds coming up 5 games from the end. And even at the final weeks, Brentford, the penultimate game, could end up being massive. At the moment, we're battling it out for 18th. So for now, we'll see how we get on. Hopefully that win against Wolves will spur something from us. But we said that against Brentford and then we lost 3 in a row without scoring. So it's not always going to be that easy. Let me know, though, what you think of the signings. Do you think Henrique will make the difference? Are you surprised that Brentford have loaned him to a rival? I know it's maybe freed up some money for them, but it seems like a very strange move. And do you think the other 3 are good enough to make a difference at this level? or will it ultimately be a glorious failure and championship football on the way? We might be closer to knowing the answer after our next two away games, but if you want to stay up to date and find out, and you did enjoy this one, please do put a thumbs up on it, subscribe and turn that notification bell on to make sure you don't miss a thing, and let me know in the comments what you thought of deadline day, the January transfer window as a whole, and that performance against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Before we return with this one though, we've got a new experiment video tomorrow, the first one of FM24 for me, and the results are interesting, let me tell you that. On Monday, we're back with a head coach before this one on Tuesday afternoon. So thank you very much for following me this week. You can find all the playlists and key videos up in the eye above, as well as the Twitch channel and the football podcast too. And I'll see you back here on Tuesday afternoon as we return in a relegation scrap with Southend United.